our bread and butter was TV and has been for years. So my father did TV advertising started in the early 80s as an attorney. He, in a way kind of pioneered it in the legal field because his two partners said, "Hey, I don't want to do business with you if you're going to TV advertise." And he's like, "All right, we'll see you guys later." And he went and found two new partners.
Hey guys and gals, Trevor here, and we're diving into this episode of the Carrot Cast, and this is one I've been waiting for a little while. I know Brad and I have bounced back and forth getting things scheduled and rescheduled, and I'm really excited to be diving in today because for a few things. Number one, Brad and I connected, I think it was a year, 2 years ago, something like that. It was definitely over a year ago, a couple of years ago, and Brad is one of the biggest home buyers in the country. And a lot of you guys might be thinking about, so what are we going to dive into? Is he going to talk about the marketing we're doing? Or are we going to talk about, the fancy kind of ways that he's doing his direct mail or his radio ads or TV ads? We might touch on some of that stuff a little bit. We'll see. But what I'm really interested in diving into with Brad is how does he tick? How do high achievers, high performers tick? What kind of lies under the surface that most of us don't see that help that person go from doing their first deal or first 10 deals to doing their first 2,000 deals, which Brad's company now, Express Homebuyers, has done over 2,000 deals, bought and sold over 2,000 properties, which is a lot of properties. So there's got to be something behind the scenes there that makes someone want to transform and transcend what normal people do or what normal circumstances happen. So we're going to dive into that a lot. But first of all, I want to welcome Brad onto the call. Brad, thanks for coming on the Carrot Cast, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I appreciate you carving out the time because I know you're a busy man and kind of setting the stage for people. Like I said, I always like to set the stage and we'll dig in deep. So you guys have done over 2,000 deals. You guys are on the East Coast. Tell us a little bit more about your business. How many people are on your team? What's your guys' focus as far as what Express Homebuyers does?
So we have about 19, 20 full-time people and then an additional 8 VAs. And we're a typical home buyer in the sense that we buy houses from motivated sellers who want to sell quickly without the hassles of a traditional real estate process, fixing up the home and listing with a realtor. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of marketing and we're great at lead follow-up and closing the deals.
And so you guys are mainly focused in the DC area and Baltimore, like around that. Are you guys spreading outside of that now? Or are you guys really focusing in there?
We want to. We have plans to. When I started the company back in 2003, I always had a vision for a national real estate company. So we're still we're doing a big infrastructure push right now on with technology to allow us to be able to do that more seamlessly.
And I know you've mentioned that in the past you've had a real estate brokerage. Do you guys still have a brokerage as part of the business, or is that scaled down, or what are you guys doing?
No, we don't. We scaled that way back a few years ago. I mean, there's still some licensed folks on my staff, but we don't really do anything real estate related when it comes to the realty business.
Mm-hmm. So guys, listen to this. So kind of setting the stage here. Brad and his company have bought and sold over 2,000 homes. They have a staff of about 19 or 20 full-time people, then a whole slew of virtual assistants to help them with various things. And they have continued plans for growth. So what we want to do now is, you guys are probably listening to this going, oh my gosh, I haven't done 2,000 deals. I haven't even done my first 100, or maybe I haven't done my first 500. I want to peel it back now and figure out how you got there and figure out kind of what makes you tick, why you built your business, some things that you've learned along the way that maybe you would do differently, or just some things that you're really intentional about that you want to make sure other people do. So dude, starting all the way back, what did you do before you guys started this company? What were you doing?
So I started as an entrepreneur when I was in 6th, 7th grade, selling lollipops, selling blow pops at school illegally. I'd go buy a bag at the local drugstore for whatever the price was. I would rip the coupon out of the bag. Once I bought it, I'd buy another bag. And I think my cost was about 5 cents a blow pop, and I would sell them for 25 or 50 cents actually, until the big bad school shut me down, shut my operations down. I then went on to Virginia Tech and got into residential property management with a concentration in real estate. I worked for an apartment REIT, not a corporate guy, wasn't interested in climbing the corporate ladder. So I went back to school and got my MBA in real estate from Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin-Madison. And then I came out and worked for a developer who was buying rundown condos and fixing them up and selling them, or rundown apartments and then either fixing them up and selling them as condos or holding them as apartments.
So you mentioned the blow pop story. What was in you? Did you have parents who were entrepreneurs? Did you have family members who were entrepreneurs? Kind of what inside of you made you think that way?
Yeah, my father was an entrepreneur. He had his own law firm.
Gotcha.
So I guess that's where I got that from.
Okay. So you started to absorb that and learn what your dad was doing, started to sell blow pops, and then got into real life and went through the traditional path and then figured out you don't want to do that. So
I actually read a book in ninth grade on how to buy real estate with no money down.
Really?
And I thought, wow, this sounds great. Unlimited earnings. There's no ceiling to how much I can earn. So I'm going to do real estate.
Mm-hmm. So what, this is one thing I've always been curious about. So what made you pick house flipping and wholesaling? And kind of what mix do you guys have? Are you guys mainly flipping houses and selling in retail? Do you guys wholesale them out? How many of them do you keep?
We have three buckets to our business. We have our fix and flip business, where in the next 12 months, we'll do close to 250 transactions. We have a small development company where we do 2 to 20 unit condo conversions in DC. Mm-hmm. And then we have about an 80 unit rental portfolio with a full service property management company. Currently, we're wholesaling and listing as is probably 40 to 50% of our houses. And then we're fixing up and selling the other 50%.
So I want to peel back to how you got your start here in a second, but you mentioned that you guys are retailing whatever that number was, 40, 50% or so. Is that a factor of the market right now because it's so hot as a seller's market in many parts of the country? Is that a higher percentage than normal than what you would do, let's say 3 years ago, as far as selling them retail versus keeping them as rentals?
It's partly the market, and it's partly because when you scale, we've really increased our volume in the last 12 months, mm-hmm. and it's very, very hard. The construction piece is just so hard. So we've consciously tried to do less construction and more wholesaling, and just listing the properties as is.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So when you guys started Express Homebuyers, was it just you? Did you have business partners? And kind of what did you guys do to get that first 5 deals done?
So I was working full time. I was coming home at weekends, coming home at nights, putting my son to sleep about 8 o'clock and working from 8 to midnight, hand addressing postcards and pounding "We Buy Houses" signs on telephone poles. It was right about the time the DC sniper was out. So we were like out trying to dodge the sniper.
Gotcha.
And then I'd come home on weekends, and instead of, watching football or hanging out, I would do the same. I'd work. And so it took me 7 really hard, long months to find my first deal. But each day that went on, I became more and more invested, not so much from a financial standpoint, but more that I was just persistent that I was going to make it work. I was going to these RIA meetings and these investment club meetings, and I was seeing everyone else have success. And I said to myself, if they can do it, I can do it. Mm. So I just kept on and kept on. I committed to it in December of 2002. I bought my first property in July. In July and August, somehow I bought 6 properties. And then I quit my full-time job in October. I met my partner, Judd Allen, at the time, and we formed Express Homebuyers. And, here we are 2,000 houses later. So
how many deals, just kind of tapping in your memory back there, how many deals do you remember doing that first year in business approximately?
So when I joined him in those next 12 months, I bet you we probably did 30 to 50.
Okay. So you guys went out of the gates pretty hard. And I think a lot of it too was you were mentioning your commitment. Like you knew that there was a better life. You knew there was a better way to do things as far as living the life you wanted to live. And you saw other people doing it. You're saying, if they can do it, I can do it. There's no reason I can't. And you went out there and hit it hard. And that's one thing, I guess, just you being a really successful entrepreneur and on the path that you are, what do you notice from people that are maybe getting started, or they could even be struggling? It could even be you at certain phases as an entrepreneur, because I know we all go through ups and downs. What do you notice that's the main difference mindset-wise between the people who will struggle or they'll stop and do 5 deals that year instead of 30 or 40, and the people who give up? There's definite things I've noticed. I'd love to hear what you notice.
It's persistence is number one, and then it's just focus, that you just have a plan and, Think and Grow Rich. Most of us know the book. It was written, took 30 years to write the book, and this guy flew around the world interviewing the most successful people in the world, and every one of them had this clear vision of, here's what I'm going to do. And they just didn't let anything get in their way, and they just plowed forward. That was it. Jack Canfield, I think the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, I think it took him 121 publishers to say yes. Mm-hmm. So imagine if the guy had quit at 70 or 80 or even 120. But he kept going because he was just committed to finding success. And now look at him. I don't know what the guy's worth, but it's a lot of money. And not only it's not only about the money, it's the lives that he's changed and the people that he's helped with his messages and his mentoring.
Man, and that you kind of open a can of worms there, because that's one thing I'm really passionate about here at Carrot, and people who have listened to the podcast know that. My team knows that, and that's kind of one transformation I myself have made just as an entrepreneur. And you know, I've talked about some of this stuff over the years, but I went from let's start a business so we can replace the income, and so we can kind of have that more of that freedom. And then pretty quickly, when you get to a certain level, you realize that it's not very motivating when you're chasing something that always moves. You're chasing a number, you're chasing whatever it is, whether it's the number of deals as a real estate investor's example or the revenue numbers. And for me, it really shifted about 18 months ago to, let's build this business because it gives us a bigger platform. It gives us a bigger platform to put our message out there to make a bigger difference. And I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, dude, but I would love to know, like, what drives you to keep growing Express Homebuyers? There's something deep down that's not revenue related. What is that for you?
So I struggle with that to some degree, but I think my passion is around helping people, especially children. Uh-huh. And so I just want to, amass wealth that I can help children in situations that they can't help themselves in.
Dude, and that right there, it's pretty darn cool, because I was just with all the election crap that's going on right now. There's the whole Facebook news feed is a zoo. It's like a sewer to try to even read through that. So I try to stay away from it. But there's a lot of conversations from people that have a little bit different financial view than I do. And there's one person in particular. She's a great gal. I know her, not putting her down at all, but just a different way of thinking about things. And she was basically saying that she didn't understand why wealthy people would want to have so much money when you don't need that much money to live, right? And I was looking at it going, man, like, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with me wanting more money. It has everything to do with I've got this vision, and having more money helps me make a bigger impact. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be hoarding this money. It helps me make a bigger impact. And like you said right there, helping young children, the more you guys are able to build the company, not just money-wise, the more you're able to have a bigger voice, the more you're able to fire up your employees to go out there and be a part of that mission too, which I'm crazy excited about. Is there anything you guys are doing right now to mix in that mission into your company? You're still kind of trying to formulate how to do that?
I'm so focused on the business and the growth that I have not done a whole lot of that.
Dude, and I would love to help you in any way I can, because we're going through the same thing right now where we're going, okay, if we have a mission at our core that we really believe in, that probably has nothing to do with our product, right? Nothing to do with software, nothing to do with real estate, but our team believes in it and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel for why we want to continue growing. It's just been magical as far as getting our team really engaged and why we're growing, getting us all off of the revenue number as our measure for success or progress. And right. Man, if there's anything I can do to help you kind of show you what we've done, or just give you any things in kind of the exercises we're going through, it's a magical thing when a team is rallied around, okay, we want to hit this number because this helps us impact X.
Right.
It's a big deal. It completely changed the business game for me in a big way. So kind of going through some of that background again. So you did 30 to 50 deals that first year. What switched for you, or was there a switch as far as going from the transactional side of wholesaling, you're just flipping properties and churning those through, to the wealth building side? So you said you have an 80 some odd property portfolio. At what point did you go, man, I should start holding some of these things because wholesaling can be a job?
Well, from day one, we always wanted to hold stuff, but the market didn't allow us to because the prices were so high.
Yep. And
then prices came way down, and we were able to make the yields work. So it wasn't that I woke up one day and said, oh, we got to start buying rentals. It was, oh my gosh, do you see what these houses that we sold the house. We bought and fixed a house in Prince George's County, Maryland, Capitol Heights. I think we sold it for $280,000. And we bought it back from the bank a couple of years later for $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
And so, sure, we probably could have fixed, actually, it was in perfect condition. It was the same renovation, and the person put in a privacy fence. So it actually improved the property.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, at $1,300 or $1,400 rent, doesn't really make sense to hold it when it's $280,000, but it certainly does at $100,000. So we're like, let's go buy a lot more of these. And in hindsight, we should have done bought 2 or 3 times as many, but we didn't. So just the market. It was just really, giving what the market, or taking what the market would give us.
Are you guys selling off any of those rentals now that prices have gone back up? Or are you just holding on to those because you bought them so right?
We've sold a couple that were in super, super bad areas or bad neighborhoods, but for the most part, we're holding on to them, and we want to grow that.
I love it. So I want to kind of dig into the marketing side and share whatever you're willing to share, because I know you guys do so much on the marketing side. I mean, you guys are just out there doing and trying everything, which is really cool. So share whatever you want to share. But what was the things that you guys did, I guess, back in the early days to get those first 30 to 50 deals? You said you were putting up bandit signs quite a bit. You were addressing letters yourself. Was it strictly offline marketing at that time to get the first deals done?
We pretty quickly got a website up and running and started SEO and started pay-per-click, and we did okay with that. Our bread and butter was TV, and has been for years. So my father did TV advertising started in the early 80s as an attorney. He, in a way kind of pioneered it in the legal field, because his 2 partners said, "Hey, I don't want to do business with you if you're going to TV advertise." And he's like, "All right, we'll see you guys later." And he went and found 2 new partners. So TV was our bread and butter, and has been, a large majority of the result of the deals that we've gotten is from TV.
So on the TV side, and this is something that's going to be completely new for most people listening to this, and also it's kind of a mindset shift, right? Because it's really easy to go put up a bandit sign. It's pretty easy to get a list of people and mail those out. There's a cost there, of course. But the mindset I've heard from a lot of people is they're kind of afraid to dive into TV, afraid to dive into radio, things like that, where they feel they have less control over the result, because it's in mass. You've got to interrupt or get in front of someone while they're doing something else. Did you guys see an immediate result when you guys started doing TV, or did it take some time to get that?
No, pretty much. It was pretty immediate. The phone started ringing immediately.
Anything changed with the whole Netflix world and all that in the past 4, 5, 6 years?
Not really, no.
I love it.
No, because you got to remember who our clientele is. They're typically older. I don't know what the average age of Netflix is, but I bet it would be, skewed towards the younger side.
And that's hugely important. So guys and gals, listen to this right here. And this is something that we actually talked about in the podcast episode before this with my buddy and copywriter, Ben Settle, on like really, really understanding your customer avatar, really understanding who they are, where they live, their age, even if there is an average age, their income, what types of situations they go through, their pains, frustrations, what they're looking at to achieve and accomplish and overcome. Like really understand that. Go listen to the last podcast episode that's going to walk you how to do that in an amazing way. And this one right here kind of proves that. So what Brad said there is they really understand and know who their prospect is. If they were going after a young demographic and they're going to keep on just doing newspaper advertising as an example, or TV, they probably would be tapping into the wrong media. But now they know their prospect. Did you guys actually do any type of exercise understanding your prospect, like writing an avatar, or just over time did it? You did? Okay.
Yeah, we did for early on. We got together with some marketing companies and did some surveys to figure out the demographic of the seller.
I love it. And so as far as you guys are mainly focused on the age, I'm not mainly, but that's one of the demographic profiles. Is there anything else? Are you guys doing a lot of probates because that is the age? Or what's your focus as far as?
We have done that over the years on and off with, varying degrees of success. The problem with probate is it's one of the channels that most of the most of the real estate gurus will tell you to hit. And it's just so saturated. So when we do it, we'll get sellers telling us that sometimes they'll have upwards of 50 letters.
Oh my gosh!
Investors. So it's very, very competitive.
So that right there, I was talking with. So Martin Bonzar, and
I do.
He's in CG with you, and Martin is just a beast. I mean, just like you, man. He's a beast physically, but also just a beast on the marketing side. We did a podcast with him. It was, episode 5 or whatever it was. People can go back to carrotcast.com and check it out. But one of the things that Martin brought up, which I really, really loved, is one of the foundational elements of what's making them so successful is really going out there and differentiating themselves from the competition. So you mentioned that sellers in probate are getting, let's say, 50 letters in the mail. How does an investor stand out between all those 50? How does a prospect choose which one to work with? And Martin said, we're just going to work in the foundations. We're going to be the most professional outfit that goes in there. And we're going to work on integrity. We're going to say that we're going to make sure that they know that we can deliver on what we say. And most of our competitors won't. And you guys are kind of similar. So what was that a very intentional thing from the start for you guys to go there and have a very, very professional appearance? I mean, you're wearing your Express Homebuyers polo. It's got your logo on it. And it seems like most of the time we chat, you've got some sort of Express Homebuyers garb on, which is great. That's part of being a professional organization. Was that intentional, and what else do you guys do to stand apart from the competition?
Absolutely. It was intentional from day one. After going to a bunch of these meetings, I quickly learned that unfortunately the industry that we're in has a really very bad reputation. It's unscrupulous. And so I wasn't going to be that person. So from day one, or I don't know, day 30, whenever we started TV advertising, my face, our name, our office location was on there. A lot of investors will hide behind "We Buy Houses" signs. A lot of investors to this day, you go to their website, you can't find out any information on the principals of the company. You can't find any information on their address. Like how many businesses don't tell you their address? Mm-hmm. So absolutely, from day one, we said, "Hey, I'm Brad Chandler of Express Homebuyers. I'm here for the world to see. Here's the offer on your house. If you don't like it, go with a real estate agent or go with another avenue. But we're not going to take advantage of you. We're not going to lie to you about the value of your house. We're going to say this is what we have to buy it for to make financial sense for us." And I think TV really set us apart.
And that's one thing that I think a lot of people will notice if they go to your website, which I want to be very clear when I say this, guys and gals, that anytime we talk about a specific website on our podcast, you can go to them, use them as a model perhaps or inspiration. Never copy anything, guys and gals. It's illegal, number one. So if you guys Google Brad's company, land on his website, do not copy anything on there. You can go, okay, it's amazing. So here's how they've built out their about page to build more credibility. Use that as a model to build more credibility for you. Don't copy their words. Don't copy their images or anything. So now that we've got that public service announcement out of the way, so I want to bring up the way that you've really focused to kind of be the face of your brand, and that psyche that a lot of real estate investors or quote unquote real estate investors, like you said, hide behind this ominous wall where they don't want to show people who they are. How much do you think that you being the face, and not necessarily you, but at least there being a face to the company, has contributed toward that credibility? Are people like actually when they call you guys, "Hey, can I talk to Brad?" because you're all over the commercials, or how's that working?
I think it does absolutely build credibility. I've been told a lot that when I sit across the table from someone, I'm very trustworthy. People can connect with me. I'm not on the commercials because I want recognition. I'm on the commercials because people look at me and say, "Hey, that's not a fast talking guy that's going to come in here and try to steal my house from me." Mm-hmm. So I think it's helped absolutely. And people do, call and say, "Hey, it's Brad there," and all the time.
Mm-hmm. And here's one really key lesson too that people should really take away is cohesiveness between your marketing. So if you guys, if you check out Brad's commercials there in that market, if you're in that market, or just from this podcast, Brad, it sounds like you're on camera in front of the camera somehow, they can see your face. So Brad's face is on there. They immediately connect Brad with that company, and that trust from Brad translates to the company. But then they go to the website, and your website's very prominent on all the pages on the website. So there's that same trust and connection is made there. Your landing page, same thing. There's Brad again. That's the same guy, same trust and connection. And that's a big deal. I think you guys are doing that better than anyone that I've seen, including some of the other really, really big home buyers out there, like Dan Lane, a client of ours down in Nashville. They buy a lot of houses, and right. We're working with them right now because they do a lot of TV also. We're like, dude, we need to get you guys your face on your website a little bit more because they see it here. We need to make the connection. That's a big deal. What advice could you give to people who are listening to this, who are having, for some reason, a problem stepping out from behind the curtain and showing their face on their website, or at least being that brand more?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough question. I think a lot of people hide. Unfortunately, a lot of people hide because they may be doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. I know bandit signs are illegal in a lot of areas, so that's one reason people hide. Yep. And then I think some people are doing some shady things that they shouldn't be doing. And then there's just some people that are scared to death to be on camera. I just had a young lady in our meetup group come to me 2 nights ago, and I was telling her how important video was. She's like, I can't be in video. Like, what am I going to do? Just like, you got to get over it. You just, go home and practice, put your iPhone up and record a couple hours of video and look at it. And most people aren't as bad as they think they're going to be. So that's a tough question. I don't know that you necessarily have to have a face. I think you just need to have a professional brand. And I think on the About Us page, people want to know who they're doing business with. So the more you can make yourself look like a real human being that's kind and is not going to take advantage of them, the better your business is going to be.
And we've shown this on a lot of data too. We have a blog post on our website where we actually did a bunch of testing to see which pages on all of the websites, no matter what type, buyer, seller, tenant, whatever, are the ones that are the most popular. And of course, the homepage is the most popular, but then it's always number 2 or number 3. That's the Our Company page. And if you think about that psychology-wise, it's like you said, the person, first of all, they want to see if you can solve their problem, which the homepage should deliver a message where they can quickly see that you can solve their problem. And then as they're going, they want to prove that you're the company that they should or should not work with. And where do they go for that? They go to the About page.
Right.
And if they look at your guys, it's a really good About page because it walks through who you are, why you're doing it, and not just, hey, I'm Brad, I've bought a bajillion houses and here's me. It's like it's more of that. It's your team. You have a video about your team now, which you guys have on your homepage, so they really connect with you guys and why you started the company, which is a big deal. That why is oftentimes people will work with you. The what validates that you can actually solve their problem.
Right.
And it's a big deal. So guys and gals, if you're listening to this, if you want to do one thing to increase the amount of deals that you're doing, if you're already driving qualified traffic to your websites or on your marketing, is come out from behind the curtain some more and really tell people about who you are, why you're doing it, and why you're in business. And don't be shy about it. One thing you mentioned, the gal in your meetup group who was having a tough time with video, and I think that's probably most people. And what got me over it, man, I don't know what got you over, or if you did have any hesitation, but what got me over it.
No, I never did.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you're the exception. What got me over it at the start was me going, well, shoot. So why am I afraid of it? Well, am I afraid that people are going to think my voice is weird, or that my face is doing something wacky, or what, or I'm not going to have to know what to say? I just sat there and thought, and like, shoot. So why don't I have the same problem if I'm sitting across the table from someone? Like, it's the same face, it's my same voice, it's the same everything there. And I just thought it's just really dumb for me to be scared on being in video. If I use my same face and same voice and same mannerisms and walk up and shake someone's hand and talk to them, it's no different than being on video.
Right. And nowadays that, they're seeing better results from the videos on Facebook that aren't super professional because I guess people get scared sometimes by those. They want to see that you're a real human being. And, I've probably messed up words, 5-6 times already in this podcast. Like, what's the big deal? Like, that's just, I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. People can relate to that.
Exactly. Are you guys doing much on the Facebook side of things with video right now for marketing?
We're not. Facebook is one of the tough things that I have not cracked yet, but I'm determined to crack the code on it. So we're not doing a whole lot.
Okay, cool. And I know I reached out to you a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure if Brendan or Alex have had a chance to push it forward, but we've got something we want to test with you for sure that is very related to video and Facebook, because it's working on our end, but we want to see if we can't scale it up. And so
yeah, I got everything. So I would be interested. I totally forgot you were going to do that, and hopefully it's running and working. I don't know.
I'll check with the team and see. Honestly, don't know, but we'll get it running here the next week or two, and then we'll probably do another podcast on it sometime later if we end up finding that it works with all the tests we're doing. Because it's working on our end. We want to make sure it works in some other stuff. That's a whole nother story there. So here's one thing I'm always fascinated by. And I think you mentioned earlier that some people have that fear of success, right? That they don't want to, fear of success and fear of failure. Where let's say you're doing 10 deals a year, and the person's like, man, how am I going to ramp it up to 50 deals a year? I've got to do X. What if I fail? Or also on the flip side of it, what if I succeed and then it's going to envelop my life? Was there anything in your mind or your team's mind that clicked that made you guys go, you know what? We're going to take it from doing 30 deals a year, 50 deals a year to X. I mean, you guys are doing way more than that now. Was there something that clicked the one you scale it up?
Nothing clicked. It was kind of, from day one, I read the book E-Myth, and I knew that I wanted a business that would serve me instead of me having to serve the business. I wanted the business to help me create the lifestyle that I wanted to. So that would be, get to the 7th level where you really don't need to show up in the business for it to work. And I think I've been there now for a couple of years for the most part. But what a lot of people don't do is before they start something, you talked earlier about the why. Why are they doing this? And secondly, what do you want to get out of it? And in my case, it was I wanted freedom and flexibility in my life to be able to travel and spend time with my family. So logically, if I was not going to have to be in the business every day, why not go big? If I can buy 100 houses, actually, if I could buy 50 houses, it would actually be harder for me to do that because I couldn't generate the income needed with the staff that I would have to have for that small of a company. So I had to grow it larger. However, I've got a good friend of mine who does 17 deals a year. He works 20 hours a week. Sometimes he calls me and is like, Brad, I feel guilty that I'm not working more, but I can't find anything to do. And he makes a great income, has a beautiful 3-bedroom boat that he spends a lot of time on with his 2 kids and wife. And that's what he wants. Like, he loves it. Now he's got to show up. He's got to show up to every house. He's like the project manager. He closes the deals. He analyzes them. He helps sell them. So he's got to be there, but it works for him. Mm-hmm. So you just have to figure out what works for you and what you want, and then create the business to achieve what it is that you want.
So you mentioned something that's really key, and I think a lot of people might have possibly skipped over this, because I know I did about 5 years ago with my previous company. Was you said it would almost be harder for you to do 50 deals a year and achieve what you wanted to achieve as far as that lifestyle than if you had done more, because of the staff requirement to replace you and all that. We did a podcast with a good friend of mine, Carlos Vaz, out of Dallas, Texas. Known him for years. And guys and gals, you guys should listen to that, first of all, if you're interested in multifamily. But Carlos set out a goal to acquire 2,000 multifamily units in 2 years, and he'd never acquired one ever before.
Wow.
That. And he did it. Now they bought over 4,500 units now. They're a big multifamily company now in Texas. They own tons of properties there. And one thing that hit me was, I said, so why do you buy big properties? Did you start out with like a duplex or 20 unit or something like that? He goes, no, I went straight for 150 units or more. And he said, because the numbers worked out that way. In order to get the scale we needed to have the exact business model we needed, we had to buy properties 150 units or more. And I'm like, wow. So he didn't look at it as, let me ease into it. He said, I'm very intentional with the business I want to grow, very intentional with the margins we have to have, and we have to do it at 150 units or more. And they didn't compromise. And that's a big deal. And it sounds like you've done something similar, where you're like, okay, we can't teeter-totter at 60 houses a year at 70. We've got to get to X, which will produce X amount of revenue, which will help us hire X people, which if I wanted to could replace me so I can now live that life I want to live.
Right.
That's cool. So what were some of those first hires that you made that kind of made the biggest difference for you anyway?
So one of the mistakes we made is the first couple months, my partner Judd and I were kind of doing everything. And then I woke up one day, I was like, this is crazy. Like, we have to have a separation of duties. So at that time, I said I was going to do the marketing, and I think actually go out and sign up the properties. And then Judd was going to handle the construction and sales end of it. So we did that till we got so big that we couldn't handle it. And then I think the next hire that we brought in was an admin, which is kind of Gary Keller's model. If you're building a real estate team, a realty team, is to hire someone who can do the $10 to $20 an hour things to free you up to do the dollar producing activities. So I'm pretty sure it was an admin. And then I think the next person we hired was the person to go out, an outside salesperson and an inside sales. They were one and the same. They did inside sales and outside sales. So they take the leads, they process them, and they would go out and sign them up.
So the hires between those and the 19 or 20, is it more of the salespeople now? Kind of what's that biggest growth as far as?
So we have, let's see. So we have 2 people in marketing. We have 3 people in accounting, an office manager, and then on the acquisition staff we have about 5 people. Mm-hmm. And then kind of on the construction staff we have 2 people. Or 3 people. We have a design person as well. So it's mostly the acquisition department is our largest department when it comes to people.
Dude, so with that team, and like I said, you built it in a way to where it was really intentional, where you could pull away from the business if you wanted to. What do you do now? What's your role in the business right now at this phase in your company?
So up until I hired a marketing manager, a director of marketing a couple months ago, I was doing a lot of the marketing.
Okay.
I love marketing. I love building web pages and shooting videos and even doing some SEO type of stuff. So I was spending a lot of time on growing the company, getting infrastructure, and also I helped our director of acquisitions a lot with. He implemented everything, but I gave him the idea of like bringing in training. So we brought in a world-class trainer in the last 6 months, and that's helped a lot. And then in the last 2 years, we've built this just incredible follow-up system. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of things I was working on.
Dude, so we can't not touch on the follow-up system thing now. So you just said incredible follow-up system. This is something we haven't talked about. And same thing, just feel free to share whatever you feel is necessary, because I'm sure there's some things that are proprietary and you guys don't want to get out. But on the follow-up side, you'll see, at least people will see on forums and stuff like that they say the fortune's in the follow-up, right? And also I was talking to my wife's uncle up in Portland. We were up at their house just this last weekend. He's buying some houses and flipping them. And he said, yeah, I'll call some of the bandit signs and just see, what those people are doing. He said 9 times out of 10, he never gets an answer. He never gets a reply, to his voicemail. So that's on one extreme. On the other extreme, what have you guys found is working really good in the follow-up, and why is it working?
I mean, there's no magic formula. It's just constant follow-up. So when a lead comes in, we actually contact 99% of the leads that come in, and we do it through a series of emails, phone calls, voicemails, and text messages, and we're just all over them. We actually closed 8 deals last year just from following up on missed phone calls.
Really? Huh.
So we've got a system, and I tell people all the time in our meetup group, we have a Express Homebuyers wholesaling meetup group to teach investors how to wholesale properties. I actually started the meetup with doing a marketing meeting, and then the next one was a marketing meeting. And then I was like, why did I ever teach marketing first? Before you spend $1 on marketing, you should have a killer follow-up system. And it is the greatest time ever to start a business, because the technology costs are so inexpensive to have that follow-up system. You can go to Zoho or, I don't know if you guys do you have a follow-up system now within Carrot?
No, we have one email that goes out, and we're actually working on building out an email follow-up system, but not right now.
So, 20 years ago or even 15 years ago, if you'd have tried to create the follow-up system that we have, it might have cost you $50,000. Now you can get it for $20 a month. Yeah. So no investor should ever have the excuse that they don't have a good follow-up system. Before you spend $1 in marketing, spend a couple weekends where you're just writing out all of these emails, set them up set up the campaigns. And then when a lead comes in, every day you come in, you know who you're supposed to call back. Automatic emails will go out, even automatic text. So that's super, super, super important. And I guarantee you, we lost a lot of money over the years because we had a really bad follow-up system.
So what are you guys using on the text message side? Because you guys are using Infusionsoft for your CRM still, correct?
We use it. Yeah, we are. And we use an add-on called Fix Your Funnel.
Okay. Yep. I know Fix Your Funnel. Cool. Yeah, and guys and gals, if you guys are curious, Infusionsoft, it's a CRM that's not specific to real estate at all. And I would not suggest most people go out and get Infusionsoft. It's not cheap, number one, but it's a bear. You've got to have someone who knows what they're doing to build this stuff out. But what you can do with it's amazing. Like Brad's saying, you can integrate all kinds of things with it. We use Call Loop for the text message stuff, mainly because I own part of the company. But Fix Your Funnel does some amazing things that Call Loop can't do, like the really seamless conversations. Call Loop can do part of that. Fix Your Funnel does it really well. But yeah, that's hugely important. What I would suggest people do is don't start with the whole shebang. Don't start with, oh my gosh, I'm going to do text messages and this and that. Start with, like Brad said, just write up some emails. What are those things that people should write emails on? Like, let's say it's motivated sellers. What are some of those topics that people should touch on in their follow-up emails?
What you're really trying to do with most of the follow-up emails is just try to get people to call you back. And that's the number one thing. So you want to write really really powerful messages, be really creative in your subject lines for the person to even read the message. And then hopefully your message is compelling on why they should call you back, because you're going to offer them, a solution to their problems, or, they're going to, for us in our business, we'll buy your house as is in 7 days. There's no hassles. Just, we make it so easy. We're like CarMax. You drive to the dealership, drop your keys off, and walk away with a check. Like, we make it that easy. So we stress a lot about how easy our process is.
Is your guys' preference always for the phone call? or do you guys try to get people to reply to emails?
100% is a phone call. So when we design the website, I tell investors, we close deals by talking to homeowners, not by. I mean, we've probably closed some deals out of the 2,000 or by email, but you really want to get them on the phone so you can make an appointment to come see their house.
Mm-hmm. I like it. And there's a thought that was just in my mind. I was gonna say it was a really smart thought too. Okay, it just came back to me. So have you ever heard of something called the 9-word email?
Yes.
Do you guys use that inside of your funnel at all?
We do.
Does it work?
It does.
Cool. So guys and gals, one thing I learned, this is probably 2 or 3 years ago, a guy named Dean Jackson put out a blog post and a podcast on a podcast called I Love Marketing. Go check it out with Dean Jackson and Joe Polish.
Awesome podcast.
It's a great podcast. And one thing that he kind of invented was the 9-word email. And Brad, why don't you put you on the spot here. Why don't you just briefly explain what the 9-word email is for you guys in your business?
So you are putting me on the spot. It's basically just a very simple, it's literally 9 words. You need to call me back because, and then it's, it's just it's so simple. You think it wouldn't work, but it does.
Mm-hmm. And kind of the premise of it, and this really hit me because I'm the type of person who I'll type or write something, or I'll even say something, then I'll feel the need to like add on a little qualifier to it, to add on a little something to it. And this is the opposite, like you said. It's basically what is it that they came to you for, or what is that obvious thing that they can just answer yes to or something, no commitment. And in this case, do you still need to sell your house? And that's it. Just, do you still need to sell your house? That's it. Like, don't put, okay, if you do, call me and we will make you a fast cash offer. Like, no, or fast cash offer. No, it's like just strictly ask, do you still need to sell your house? Question mark. and then people will reply back, yeah, I do. So now what happened is you open that conversation, and like you guys, you get them to give you a call. Let's say you're in the plumbing business and you had a lead that came in. Do you still have a plumbing issue? And that's it. Just see if people reply back. A lot of them.
And it's something that your buddy or something would send to you, and it makes it so easy to reply. Mm-hmm. Well, yes, okay. If they type back yes, then you can reply back. Okay, give me a call, and we'll make an appointment to get your house sold.
Mm-hmm. I love it. The follow up stuff like this, I'm like Brad said, guys and gals, make sure your follow up stuff is put in place before you start investing a bunch of money in marketing, because it's just going to help you amplify that return on investment as you go. I know that we've worked together on some of the online stuff, and it sounds like the offline stuff is still your biggest lead generation source. What are you guys finding, or what are you guys doing, if anything, on the online stuff to try to adjust and outpace your competitors in your market? Because you guys are in a really competitive market.
So we spend a fortune on pay-per-click advertising. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we're always doing some type of SEO to try to build our presence and grow our presence online. And then again, I'm determined to figure out the Facebook advertisement. So I think there's a big opportunity there. I know some people are having success. I haven't heard of a lot of people that were having great success, but I know some people are having some success. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a great opportunity there.
So I'll walk through briefly right now, Brad, what the Facebook strategy is, and people can listen to this. Like I said, this has been in existence for probably 5, 6, 7 months or so, maybe max, if that. But as far as the real estate industry goes, I would be highly surprised if any real estate investor in the country is actually implementing this, or if they are, they've just started it. And basically what it is we all know that it's really hard to target a seller on Facebook, right? Because no one's going to go to Facebook and type in there or click like on Divorce Magazine, or I just inherited a house, and then like change their whatever to their status. People don't do that, but they will change it to got married or engaged, or they like these things that they like. So that's why it gets really hard. So then you look at it and go, okay, so can we do it like TV advertising, where in mass we're delivering a video to people, where then they can pick up and call us. I'm assuming you guys have tested that, right? You guys have tested putting up a video just like a TV commercial.
We have, and we got tons and tons of low-cost clicks, but no conversions.
Yep, exactly. So here's what Facebook lets you do now, is you can get really, really, really low-cost views, right? I mean, if you do it right, you can get them for under $0.01 per view. if you do it right. And a lot of people look at it and go, well, what's a view do for you? Well, now with Facebook's feature, you can actually automatically create audiences based on how much of a video people watched. So if you're getting views so cheap, and let's say you have a 5-minute video that walks people through just content, like it's not even just strictly pitching them on selling you their house. But it could be content on, hey, are you needing to sell your house, but you're going through one of these situations? Well, in this video, I want to walk through some of the ways that you can get out of that situation. It's like really good content. You are going to have a call to action at the end, but you want to make it not so salesy. Right. And the reason we want to make it a little bit longer, you don't want to make it 20 seconds or 30 seconds or even a minute. Make it 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, because we want to see who the most motivated people are. So automatically, you're creating an audience based off of the people who watch, let's say, 75% of your video. That automatically now serves up your actual ad campaign in front of them, which is your direct selling campaign. It's where you are saying, sell us your house, 7-day home buyer, that kind of thing. And those clicks, of course, are going to be more expensive, but they're to a highly targeted audience now, because these people sat through 75% of a 3 or 4 or 5 minute video. And then that it was either one, okay, there are a couple ways that could be on accident. They're scrolling down, they got a phone call, the video's playing, they walked away from their computer. That could be one way that it plays all the way through. But the vast majority of the people who are going to watch 75% of a 5-minute video are people who are crazy interested in that topic.
Right.
So,
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, man. So that's what we're testing right now. And we'll see. So it's very promising in other stuff. It's very promising in other stuff we're testing, that we've been working with a partner who's in the real estate agent market that's crushing it right now. But for the motivated seller side of investing, we're like, why can't this work there? So we're testing it right now and some stuff. We'll let you guys know about the results for sure.
Great.
That's kind of cool. Man, I mean, we have a few more minutes here, and I really appreciate your time. And there's a couple more things on my mind. I'm always really interested in what people like you are reading, what you're absorbing, who you're learning from. Is there anyone right now that you're really learning from, a CEO or a business leader or someone like that you're just diving into and absorbing everything they put out?
So Gary Keller is in my opinion, one of the best ones out there right now. He's grown just an amazing company from nothing in the last 30 years, and now they're the number one real estate company in the world. And just his focus on the one thing, the book that came out a couple of years ago on just, you asked me at the beginning of the podcast on what separated individuals, and what it's focus. You cannot do 10 things at one time. You got to focus on one thing. Pick that one thing today that's going to, I've got it. What's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? If you ask that question every single day, it's going to be great. There you go.
The exact same thing. So it's funny. I read that book a year or two ago, and the one thing I took from the one thing was this, and I wrote it on an index card. Those of you guys watching the video section of it, I just held up an index card and showed it to Brad, and it was the exact same words he just read as he was looking in his office somewhere, I could tell. Yeah, that's huge. What is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Dude, so when you first read that, I'm curious, did you discount the word unnecessary in there? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this. Did you discount the value of the word unnecessary in that? I'm
looking at it again. Everything will be easier. No, I don't think so. I think it was pretty clear.
I did in a big way, because I read it, and what I started to do was look down at everything and what are the things that I can do to make this process easier. But it wasn't until like probably 4 or 5 months into it, I'm like, well, shoot, I wasn't even looking at that unnecessary word. So I started finding ways to completely make things unnecessary in the business. And that part for me was a game changer, because before I was making crap that I was improving crap basically by making it easier to do those things instead of just getting rid of them altogether.
Beautiful thing is that you can use it in all areas of your life, spiritual, relationships, health. So let's say that you want to lose weight. So you ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do? Well, maybe it's stop drinking soda, or maybe it's that I've got to go to the gym every other day. And you can use that in every area of your life. And it's just a phenomenal thought. But Gary Keller is just a great educator, and they have the number 2 training company in the world. They're basically a training company. They teach agents how to become great agents.
And I'm working on getting Gary on this podcast, but they keep sending me to his co-author for the book, which is completely cool too. So I'm hoping I can get his co-author for the one thing on a Carrot Cast here shortly. and kind of pick his brain on that stuff some more. So I'm glad you mentioned Gary, because he's an amazing entrepreneur. I follow him as well. What's the last book that you've read that you've taken something big from?
So I'm listening to a book on why. Begin with the why. Let's see. It's going to come to mind in a second. It's a phenomenal book. Exponential. Goodness. It's his name is Visham. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you probably know this book. It's not quite it's like a New Earth type book. It's The Power of the Exponential Brain or something.
Oh, Vishen Lakhiani, The Power of the Extraordinary Mind.
There you go. Yeah. Phenomenal. It's one of those books where it can literally change your life if you do what he tells you to do.
Dude, I haven't read the book yet, but Vishen, I mean, he's kind of one of those guys that you definitely, when you meet him and when you get to know him, you definitely feel like there's like always something deeper going on inside him. He just thinks about things way more deeply than the average person, myself included. So I'm excited to get that book. And
have you had an opportunity to meet him?
Oh yeah, several times. The very first Awesomeness Fest that they put out. So there's this event that Vishen and his company Mind Valley put out called Awesomeness Fest, and the very first one was in 2010 or 2011 in Costa Rica. And by accident, I ended up at Awesomeness Fest, the first one, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty sweet. But I had a lot of chance to hang out with him and his team, and just some amazing people. Chip, oh man, I'm totally forgetting his name, but the dude, the hotelier out of California who started Joie de Vivre hotel chains, and then he sold it for a bunch of money. Chip, God, he wrote a great book too. He was there. Just amazing people were there, just in the crowd, that are people that you would normally never be able to connect with because they can't leave. They're in Costa Rica. It's like, where else are you going to go other than sit there and hang out with everyone and listen to all the sessions? Joe Polish, was there speaking, but also in the crowd, and we all just got to hang out. It was a blast, man. But Vishen's a smart guy for sure. So the Code of the Extraordinary Mind, I'm going to get that book and check it out. A couple last things, man. We'll wrap it up right here. I want to respect your time. What is next for not just you, but Express Homebuyers? I know you're looking to expand, and you don't have to tell us your secrets or your specific plans, but what's next for you guys? What part of the world are you wanting to start to dominate?
So we have to get really, really good on the technology, and we're in the process of building a technology platform that we're probably 30-40% of the way through it. That's going to help run our business, and it's pretty powerful, and I'm pretty confident nothing like it exists in our space. So that's our big focus right now, is building that out. And then from there, we hope to expand. We hope to expand, regionally and then nationally.
Mm-hmm. So do you see yourself working Express Homebuyers in 10 years as your main gig?
That's a good question. I don't know. I kick around the idea sometimes of doing some high-end coaching. Mm-hmm. Not so much new investors, but the investor who's doing 3 to 5 deals a month and wants to learn how to do 20 deals a month, how you scale, how you build the infrastructure, technology, systems, processes, all that. Mm-hmm. So I love to coach, and there's just so many people out there teaching the new investor. So that would be something. There's very few people who can coach and say, hey, I bought 2,000 houses in the last 13 years, and we're buying 250. Hopefully next year we'll buy 300 houses a year. So that would be kind of cool. But who knows? Who knows what will happen in 10 years? I certainly hope Express Homebuyers will, be in 100 markets by then.
Uh-huh. And that's an amazing goal. I love it. Last question, man. Then we'll part ways here. One thing is, I'm really big on mission, really big on purpose and passion, and that we're really intentional doing what we're doing with our business. And we kind of talked about this a little bit at the start, and you've got a passion for helping young children. Is there something specific that you're wanting to kind of leave as your legacy with this company? Or not even leave. I hate that because it makes it sound like you're actually going somewhere. What are you wanting to do to impact this world with that? And what can we help challenge you and hold you accountable for this next year or 5 years?
I just think there's a lot of, I think there's a need for our type of company on a large scale. Just like CarMax took a very mom and pop, unscrupulous business and professionalized it. Yep. That's what I'd like to leave. I'd like to leave that if you, whether you're in Des Moines or LA or Boston, if you need to sell your house fast, you call Express Homebuyers, and you're going to be treated, fairly and respectfully.
I love it. Well, Brad, any parting words before we jet, man?
No, this was awesome. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate having you on as well. And I know you're a big golfer, as is your son, who hopefully is recouping from. I think he had an injury here recently or something like that. He got sick, but
he's 100%. He's preparing for regional finals of the state high school next week, actually, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Awesome, man. Well, we wish him luck and have fun on the golf course with him, and just enjoy being an entrepreneur and enjoy being in the position that you're in right now. And guys and gals, who are listening to or watching this podcast, figure out what you want your business to do as far as how do you want it to serve you, how do you want it to serve your team, how do you want it to serve your clients, and make sure you're very intentional the way you're building your company, like Brad talked about here. And also make sure that you aren't trapping yourself in kind of that weird middle ground in the volume of your business. We found that too with Carrot, where if we would have not scaled past a certain point, I would not have been able to step back as much as I'm able to now and really build a great team that gives us all more freedom. So don't get caught in that middle ground. Be very intentional with what you're wanting to build, and just go out there and challenge yourself to do big things. Guys and gals, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Carrot Cast. Brad, have an amazing rest of the week, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
You too. Take care.